Welcome to our next session of East Meets West. And today I have my colleague, my friend, all the way from Australia. And the beauty of it is that he's also a Guyanese. and Here with us is Nick for short, Nicolas Goorbarry. And Nick is also a John Maxwell coach, as you can see on his t-shirt. He's a leadership communication trainer and a certified disc consultant, business consultant, mental health coach. And what I love about Nick is that we have so much in common with our heart in developing people. So he encourages others and help them to find their why and their purpose in life. And over 27 years in consulting and business that Nick worked with so many countries also. And I do admire his heart in leading and serving people. And that is something I truly, want to hear more from Nick as we're going to talk on no exchange, no returns. Very interesting topic. I can't wait to hear what we're going to learn from Nick here on that topic. And the next thing that we have in common is our, in our bio, we both have be the change we wish to see in the world, because indeed, as coaches, as, servant leaders, we do want to see change in the world, but we do believe it starts with us. And that's what you're going to hear a little bit from Nick. Nick, I'm just going to ask you, is there anything else you would like to add? I know there's so much about your bio, and I'm just giving a gist, but you could freely add some more. So welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shanti, and thanks for inviting me and having me here. Yeah, there's so much I can add, but I'm not sure I want to. I am here in Australia, but born in Guyana, spent many years in Canada, and just recently got married. Well, not recently, but a year ago. So I decided Australia, or we have decided Australia will be home for us. And so, yeah, here I am. And that brings me full circle around back to the Southern Hemisphere.
Yes. I know we have some time difference here, but I do appreciate you giving some time to add value to all those who will be listening to this program here. And I would really love to hear, what is this no exchange, no return? How did you come up with this?
Well, Shanti, one of the things is it's a new year, and growing up in Guyana as well as in Canada, one of the things that we're accustomed to doing was giving gifts, and we got to a point where, okay, no gifts for adults, only for kids. But in North America, sometimes you get a gift and maybe it doesn't fit, maybe you don't like it, and so you take it back to the store and you either exchange it or get or return it and get something else, or exchange it for something else or a bigger size. And so that's the reason why I came up with that, because it was the new year. It was a point where we're thinking about exchanging gifts, and I don't even want to go about use the word regifting, because sometimes people regift. You get something and you go, oh, I got two of these. Oh, maybe next year I'll keep it and give it away or give it to somebody. But the thought occurred to me, as leaders, sometimes we're at a point where we're struggling, or we're stuck, or we're not sure where to go from there. And we all have challenges. Everyone has challenges. And the biggest challenge is leading our own selves. And so one of the quotes that I have that I heard from John Maxwell was, leaders have to give up to go up. And so coming from Christmas into the new year, we all make resolutions. And we're gonna go, yeah, I'm gonna start exercising. Yeah, I'm gonna read a book. Yeah, I'm gonna give up on TV. And the reason I chose no exchange, no refund, it's not an exchange, it's not a return, because sometimes we get to the point where we begin trading. As leaders, we begin trading. What do I mean by that? Instead of taking a habit and saying, okay, this is what I'm gonna give up, we begin to say, I won't look at so much TV because I will exercise. And we begin trading something for the other. And we have to learn that it's not a trade. As leaders, we've got to give up. And so I've come down with looking at a couple of instances, and I want to leave you with three things, as well as three questions that hopefully will help you as we go forward. And the first one is leaders need to be courageous. To be courageous. And what do I mean by leaders need to be courageous? I'll ask you a question here. What will I give up that doesn't serve me in order to be a better leader? And one of the things I've found is when I ask that question, I realize that I've got a bad habit. I'm doing tasks that doesn't benefit me. I am procrastinating. I'm making activities up just to look busy. And then there are people around me and in my life that are not serving me as a leader and where I need to go. I know earlier we were talking, Shanti, about leaders who don't want to grow or learn. And there are times as a leader, we need to unlearn all the things we've learned and relearn new habits so that we can, or relearn new things so that we can develop better habits. And so we have to be courageous to say, this habit doesn't serve me. I'm going to give it up. Not exchange it, but I'm going to give it up and develop something that will be purposeful and intentional. The task that I'm doing, I will be able to delegate it to other, have the courage to delegate it to someone else whose strength it is to do that task. As a leader, I have to be courageous to say, these activities I'm doing, it doesn't serve me. It's not helping me. It's not helping my team. It's not helping my organization, not helping my family. And the biggest one is be courageous enough to let go of people in your lives. That's one of the hardest things, especially when you have friends and family and you are changing, but they are not. Shanti just said the quote, be the change you wish to see in this world. And we can't change if we have the same people around us who are not supporting us, not lifting us up. We have to be able to let go of those people and say, we'll be friends, but I need to put a little bit of distance between you and I because our directions and our paths are not in the same direction. We're not going where I'm going, and I want to become better. The other thing as a leader is, I would say, to be open-minded. I come with a question with that. What do I do when I'm stuck? What do I do when I'm stuck? And oftentimes we do get stuck. Everybody gets stuck. We get to a point, oh, geez, what do I do? Just imagine a few years ago, what did many leaders do when the COVID hit? What did leaders do when there's an economic breakdown or even inflation, recession, whatever you want to call it today? What do leaders do? We constantly need to be looking to have either a mentor or a coach or have an inner circle, people who will support us in our lives. And we need to be able to communicate what is going on in our lives. Because if we stay stuck and we internalize it and say, okay, I don't know what to do, and just leave it there, then the problem will continue and there's not going to be a solution. Sometimes the solution is, and not sometimes, but always, the solution is within us. But we need somebody like a coach, or we need a mentor who can draw it out from us. And that's something that I would say constantly be looking at either growing and either changing or thinking. And so a coach, a mentor, inner circle will help us to get there, and we learn how to communicate that. The third thing is that as a leader, one of the things is to be a growing or a lifelong learner. And again, what do I mean by that? I'll ask you a question. How do I continue to add value to others? Now, I have this cup of coffee here, and if I continue drinking, pretty soon it will be empty. And if I pick it up when it's empty and try to get something, there will be nothing there left. Leaders, and as leaders, we all have a bucket or a cup, whatever you want to call it, and we keep pouring into others. We keep pouring out from that. Pretty soon, as we pour out, we're going to be left with nothing. And so, what are we going to do at that point in time? And so, how do I continue as a leader to add value? First of all, to pour into me and to pour into others. We can't give what we don't have. And so, what do? You develop good values. You develop good values, you develop good habits, and you begin to. This is where I guess resolution for this year comes in, or goal setting. What books are you going to read this year? What seminars you're going to attend? Who am I going to listen to? Am I listening to a whole bunch of voices, or am I listening to one voice or a few voices? Who will help me along the line that I need to go? Who will help me on the path that I'm journeying? Who will help me to achieve my goals? And it's not the end. The journey is what we keep learning from. It's not the end goal always. And so to pour, we can't pour from an empty cup. We need to be refilled, and we need to read, listen, keep learning, keep growing, not only for ourselves, but for our families, for our team, as well as for our organization. Whatever organization it is, be it a business, be it if you're an entrepreneur, or you're a president, CEO, manager, or you are in a religious organization, whatever it is, keep filling your cup, keep filling your bucket, so that you can keep pouring out and stay. And this way we get to stay connected, not only with who we are, but we get to stay connected with our team. Because as we begin to add value to our own selves, we can add value to them. And one of the things my mentor, and Shanti's mentor, says, consistency compounds. John Maxwell says consistency compounds. And when we do the same thing of growing, of learning, of speaking to a coach, of asking questions, of getting rid of bad habits, and putting fresh habits, and or unlearning and relearning, that consistency compounds, and it brings successes in our lives. It doesn't mean we don't have failures. Shanti probably knows that. I know that we've had failures, but those failures are all a stepping stone. Recently, and just in closing, Shanti and I have been together on a transformational trip to Papua New Guinea. One of the things that we learned there, and we've learned on other transformational trips, is the transformation begins within me. Be the change we wish to see in this world, and it starts with me. As a leader, the change always starts with me. The growth always starts with me. For myself, self-leadership is the greatest form of leadership, but it's where our starting point is, and it's where we can pour from a full cup rather than an empty cup. Shanti, that's my share. Hope this will help someone. And
no exchange.
Yeah, no exchange. No
sometimes when you were talking about the gifts, oh boy, sometimes I do re-gift. But on the topic of that, I would say definitely that this is something all of us need to practice, is that give people the things that they like, not what you like. Because that's where the problem comes, when they'll return it, or wherever it is that happened there. But if you start with you, that invest the time to get to know the person and know what they like. So when you do give them a gift, they really appreciate it, and it's something that they want. For me, I always look at the things that people can naturally use, and so if I give them something that they can't use, most likely they might just give it away, or whatever they might do with it. But let's talk about as leaders. And you made three really important point here, that being courageous. I was listening to one of John Maxwell book only yesterday whilst traveling to Essequibo, and I recall him talking about sometimes letting go of people that he hold on to. So he was sharing some of his mistakes that he made as a leader, and sometimes is about some of the people that are around you, whether it's a team member, so that you might be holding on, hoping, wishing that it will change, or that person will become aligned to your values or your company, or taking that step. Sometimes you hold on too long, and so that's what he was explaining, that sometimes you need to let go. You need to let go earlier than what you're doing. And even, this year here, that you're going into certain things, sometimes we need to also let go of some of the work we're doing. And for me, was evaluating, okay, am I, being courageous enough to say no to so many different things? And many people are getting or calling me to get me involved into so many different things, and having the courage to say no. This is who I want to be. This is what specifically I want to do. And I'm going to stick with this here and get good at this here and not get pulled into all direction. And sometimes the courage to say no is sometimes really hard for some of us. And that will come with practice and how to politely say no and lovingly say no and still be friends. And
Yeah.
but it's something interesting. And sometimes too, I think of being courageous enough also. Sometimes you might be in a job that is not also serving you. That environment is not molding you into being the person you want to be, or the influence you would like to, have there. And so sometimes we hold on there to not having the courage, because we don't know, if I leave this job, what is in store for me? What is gonna happen? Suppose I don't get a job again, or whatever it is you want to go and start doing, that suppose it don't work, and all these thoughts will be going through your mind. But you have to know, am I courageous enough to make it happen for me? Or you can stick where you're at and continue being miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, Shanti. And if you don't mind me sharing a quick story, a few years ago, I was working as a business consultant. I was working on contract, and the contract came to an end because they would only hold you on for 2 years, and then once a contract ends, they don't renew it after the 2 year period. And I thought that was a good stopping point for me. It was August of the year, and I know where I want to be, where I want to go. I know I want to build my own business. I know I want to grow and become an entrepreneur. And then a few months later, I got this call from them, because when I had left the contract, the manager had said to me, Nick, what you do, we really need part of it in the company. We really need to grow our team. And after I left, I didn't have an opportunity to do any kind of training or facilitation there. So when they called me back and asked, did you want to come back to work? I thought, it would be a good way to get my foot into the door. And it paid the bills, all that I earned, but it never got me to where I needed to go. And if I had said no, maybe life would have been different. I don't know. I can reflect only in it, but it was having the courage, because I thought it would serve me well by going back into that contract. And maybe it didn't in the way that I envisioned it. And so you're right, having the courage to say no, I don't need another contract, or I don't need this job right now, is a great thing, because we have to operate and know what our strengths are and know where we're going. The other thing too about no is not only from saying no to something, but you and I are in a business where we talk to people, and as leaders, we want to help others, but we get a no from others. And having the courage that when we get that no, is to not take it personally. As leaders, we can't take a no from somebody personally. Everybody is at a different level of awareness, is at a different path in their life, and so they may not have the need for what you and I, the value that we can bring to them as leaders at that point in time.
Yep, indeed. So being courageous enough that, it's okay that people will also tell you no, just as you are able to say no. And then you also talk about, people sometimes indeed you need to distance yourself from some of the people that are there in your life. I had to do that few years back, and because, values clashes and people might not align to your belief system or where you're heading. And it's okay to say no to that too, and move on and get in, where you would like to go. And so that's not easy. I agree. I could remember a few years back too when I had to leave a job, and I didn't want to because for me, I thought this is where I'm going to move myself, and I had started to move. But that was not where I needed to be. And letting go came with a lot of tears because I think my heart is so broken that I give so much into this year. And this is what's happening now. All my dreams of where I wanted to become, this leader in this company here, and that is not gonna happen no more. And but what was amazing though? It didn't even take a week before I got into something that I really love doing, that I got to spread my wings and experience so many different things that I would not have gotten the chance to do if I was still in that organization working. So it's a leap of faith.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't
And
that
yeah, you
isn't that interesting?
something.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? And you know, sometimes we look at a door getting closed, and it is closed because it's leading us to the door that will open. And it may not always happen immediately. It may take some time. In my case, I know it took some time, but um, it's one of the things that we've got to be open to, and having that open-mindedness that it's not a door closing. And even in letting go of people in our lives, or saying not that you can't be friends or have a relationship with them, but just saying, look, we're on a different path, and hold an image of goodness for them. It's important that if somebody has hurt you, if somebody has spoken bad against you, to be able to forgive them, and then hold an image of goodness for them. I think that's very important in our life as a leader, so that we don't get bogged down by any kind of weightiness on ourselves, that we are carrying on something, that's when there's unforgiveness, or when there's um, bad feelings. Just hold an image of goodness for them, release them, and move on. It allows us to move on um,
Yep.
much more
The
freely.
releasing is for you, not for them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Indeed. And so I think also of the open-mindedness that you talk about, and getting a mentor, getting a coach. It's I found this, that sometimes I coach really senior people, and they don't see, it's like if they know everything in this I know attitude, that there's nobody can actually work with me or help me or teach me anything. I'm already, but being open-minded to hear where you need improvement to is something that will touch your ego,
Mm.
and you will need to let go of that part as a leader, to be open-minded to feedback, be open to hearing different ideas, being open to understand that you're not always right, and there are other ways in doing things. And having a coach actually helps to question you just
Right.
for you to hear yourself back. So it's a sounding board that is there that helps you to, you know, oh, now that I'm saying this loud, this didn't sound too right, it or
Mm.
and those are the aha moments I see play out in many of my coaching sessions. As they start talking, I just ask one question, and as they start talking, oh, that didn't come out too right. Is that how they sound? And these are things they start asking me, and but you start getting to a point where you realize that whatever you might be thinking or seeing, there's more to it, or you understand where it's coming from, so you could do something about it. But you got to be open to have somebody like that in your life that will hold you accountable, will, you know, put up that mirror for you that you can see what's happening with you. And
Yeah,
yeah, Nick, I'm sure you might have had coaches that work with you too.
yeah. I've had I've had some that really helped me. But going back to what you're saying about people knowing, it's and I know it's the next point that I made. But I've come across people who I've invited to either a mastermind or to a session, and they go, "Oh, what's this all about?" And so I give them a synopsis of what it'll be, and both family and friends, and they go, "Oh yeah, I've done that before, um, I've 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 done that, yeah," and that's the end of it. The thing about it, and this is talking a little bit about growth, Shanti, is when a tree decides it stops growing, it starts dying, and we're either growing or we're dying. One of the things I heard this past Sunday is the phrase "choose life." And when we decide, so we can choose either death or we can choose life, we can choose success or failure, we can choose good or bad. But when we don't decide to choose something, not choosing or not making a decision is also a decision.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. And so when we decide, or if I decide to stop having somebody pour into my life or to help me, then I'm saying I have reached the zenith of my life. I've reached the top. This is the end of the journey. And when I begin to die, I may not die physically, but I begin to die in my mind. And I know this because there was a time in my life when I decide I made the decision I'm stop learning, and everything I do, I would do for my kids. I would make sure it is there. It's for them, and that was a bad thing that I did because we can't stop giving or stop growing and expect to give out of our cup. So you'll come to the next point of pouring from an empty cup.
Yep. And that is the part too that I find a lot of people, and not only in Guyana per se, but lots of people that I've interacted with. And when you travel, you get introduced to others, and I don't see this zest of continuing to learn.
Yeah.
Many people think that, okay, I have a degree, maybe even your master's or whatever, or I have so much years experience, I don't need to study, or I don't need to read anything more, I know everything. So I can say that honestly, I see that played out in so many people's life who turn off the learning,
Yeah.
and now they're struggling to even maybe engage in this generation, understanding what's happening and how do I connect with them. Learning, that will take you some learning and adjusting to the things, as you said, to unlearn some stuff that you might know how the previous generation would have worked and all of that. And so if you're not continuously learning, as you
Mm.
said, we are dying. I said this to someone the other day that I think for me it would be that until the last day I'm on this earth, and if I'm in my mental faculty is all intact, that I will still be learning. I look at every opportunity when I am interacting with someone, whether they're small or big or older, younger, whatever, that I am going to look at what can I learn from this person and how can I interact with them, and maybe for myself too, how can I add value to them too. But I want to learn, I want to continuously learn, and I'm going to look for things that will help me get better as a human being, help me get better as a leader, help me get better as a mother, as a wife, as a whatever it will take, so that I can be better. But there are many people who are not open to that. I've traveled to one of our region, and I've seen so many people who are just stuck in one way of doing things, whether it's working or not, they're still staying with it. And you want to see growth happen, you want to see things changing and getting better. But then when you have so many people who are just in a fixed mindset, that how would you get that growth? And so it starts indeed with us in what we want to see. So I tell many people will write to me, like message after these program and ask some questions. And, some people are asking, what can I do? And, I'm in a society or I'm in a organization that is not growth mindset. They don't interested in people learning. They don't invest in anyone learning. They don't even give the time off or whatever needed to learn and whatever it is. But I'm saying to you, don't be discouraged. Do what you can do where you're at until that decision come, whether you leave or you step up, or you can demonstrate what great leadership, what servant leadership look like, as a servant leader. But what are your thoughts, Nick?
Well, you're right about that, because it comes back to that favorite quote of ours: be the change you wish to see in this world, right? And it all starts with me. I know sometimes we can look at the others and say, well, oh, they need to change. But when we begin to change our own mindset, when we begin to unlearn and relearn some things, then that change begins to happen within us. And it either enhances the environment we're in and those around us, or it pushes us to find a setting that will that we will be aligned with in terms of where we want to go and what we want to do. I believe that you want to call it God or the universe. I believe that when you are moving forward and you are growing, that doors are going to open to you, and it could be a new job, it could be a new position, it could be a change that's coming, but it has to happen between us. And a lot of people don't want to do it. I don't know if you do, if you usually have a word for the year. And I never used to have a word for the year for many years. And only, I guess, within the last 10 years or so, I started having one. And my word for this year is hopetion. And it's a made up word. So it's hope and it's action. And you and I know we just come back again from P&G, and we had this value of hope. And there's a lot of hope. But one of the quotes that was there is that unless we take action for the things we're hoping for, then it's just gonna be hope. And it's not gonna serve us. We'll have this hope. But when we begin to take action, and that's one of the things we facilitated while there in P&G, when I begin to take action for the hope that I have within me, then I am going to begin to grow and change. And the quote, be the change you wish to see in this world, when I first read it, I expect to be the change you wish to see in this world, and it's like big change. But if you took the earth, held it in your hand, and there was Nick, and then if I changed one iota within me, the world has changed from what it was 1 second ago to what it is now. And it starts with one small step at times. It's not always a big step. That Step is what's going to move us forward. Again, it comes back to consistency compounds. Martin Luther King Jr. said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to always see the whole staircase. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step in faith. And it always starts with me. As a leader, it starts with me because I want to be able to grow to be the best I can be.
Yep. And if that step is not this step, change course.
Change course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't stay there and be miserable and, things are not happening. I do see so many people just keep doing the same thing over and over and wishing things will change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's us indeed. As you were speaking, I thought of the quote that says, "A rising tide lifts all boats." And as a leader, as you keep growing, as you keep getting better, you are going to lift the people that are around you in your homes, your organizations, and you will not be the same person. You will not show up the way you were showing up all the years. You're going to experience something that you'd want to know what happened to you. And then the people
Yeah.
around you too that are not growing along with you would want to know what happened to you. You will start hearing things like, you have changed. But
Yeah.
I would say that I have grown.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
have been growing and I will continue to grow. And so
Yeah.
there's that aspect of it too that is gonna happen.
Yeah. And that's a good point to make. It's not that you've changed, but I have grown. When somebody says you've changed, says, well, thank you for noticing I have grown. Right? So,
Yes. So Nick, is there anything else before we close the program? I do enjoy, the points you've made here.
yeah.
And it's a challenge to all of us, the questions that you ask and how can we start these things? How, evaluating, am I courageous? Am I an open-minded person? Am I a lifelong learner? How do I know that? You need to answer those questions for yourself as you go by. And as don't reach to the end of this year and say that, I could have done this, I should have done that. And no, you won't be getting back this year. In fact, 10 days is already gone, or how many days is already gone, and you won't get back this day. So
Yeah.
don't leave it up to chance, but to start working on, how do I start to grow? How do I start to change? And in what area do you need to grow in? Whether it's books, whether it is some recordings, whatever it is that you need to do to start growing. Maybe do like John and choose somebody who you really admire. Study all the things you would like to learn from this person, put it down in some questions, and just invite that person for lunch or dinner or something and ask them all the questions you want, so that you can get something that you can start with. Whatever it takes. I tell everybody, whatever it takes, start, and just don't stay where you are. Just start something.
Yeah. And that's important. And knowing what your strengths are. I just read a quick story this morning. I share with you in closing. The eagle, we know the eagle flies and no other bird attacks it except one bird, the raven. And the raven goes on the eagle and pecks at it continually. The eagle does nothing. All it does, it continues to fly higher and higher and higher. And pretty soon, the raven is unable to breathe properly. It begins to not have enough oxygen and it falls off. Know your strengths, because there are people who will peck at you. There are things around that will peck at what you're doing, but knowing your strength and rising above that will cause those things to fall off and will allow you to move forward.
That's a good one. I love that. And again, Nick, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I do appreciate all your words of wisdom. And I've learned from you too tonight, like everyone else, I'm sure would have learned something. I do believe though, learning is not, it's not all about learning, but what you're going to do with the learning. So choose something, anything, and change something about you that is going to keep making you become better. Whatever it is that Nick might have shared, that you can actually take it and apply it to your life. I do appreciate each one of you taking the time out also to listen to this video and to hear from Nick. I do encourage you to share the video also with anyone that you think can benefit from this. Share your comments, share your questions too. Nick will respond to it, and we want to add value to you. Reach out, let us know your thoughts too on the things that we have discussed in this session. So Nick, thank you. And I do or will be encouraging a next session and an interaction with you in the next one of our session like this here, that you can continue to add value to us here. So thank you again very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so very much. Yes.
Yes. Take care.